Well, good day. I actually thought I would share something um, that I was discussing with someone online. It's actually something that was shared by another YouTuber. And we were just talking about discussing complicated issues. His video was about reincarnation and I can't remember exactly what. But the response was just, I thought it was a bit of a spicy subject matter because most people get upset. Even Buddhists get upset about some of this discussion, right? Especially reincarnation. I used to give tours in a Buddhist museum slash temple and monastery complex, and I would talk about these issues. Um, but when you're the tour guide and you've been vetted by everybody, they don't usually question you. But when it comes to the internet, that happens all the time. So I actually wanted to talk about what this brought up for me, which is an obsession with trying to find certainty in a world that is uncertainty, right? If you want to translate Buddhism from suffering, dukkha, to uncertainty, truly. So, recently I was engaged in an interesting conversation. Someone said, I don't know how any thinking person could give up wondering. And honestly, that resonates deeply. The bigger issue, however, is that when people believe they have the answers, and that was him as well, when certainty becomes a crutch that limits further questioning. My friend responded, oh, no, sorry, I responded with a paraphrase of Thomas Merton. Wait a minute, am I wait? Yeah, no, I'm terrible at this. So I responded with a paraphrase of Thomas Merton. We need to think we have the answers until we no longer have the questions. And that was actually a paraphrase. What the quote was, Thomas Merton was this awesome literary scholar who became a Franciscan or Trappist monk, I believe. And he said when he first joined, he saw the novice monks leaning up against the wall for support, desperately searching for answers. And he said the senior monks were sitting up of their own strength, their own accord, and they seemed content. And what Thomas Merton said is he felt that they had gotten past the need for answers. They had gotten to a point where questions, that you couldn't form a question. So this is what I'm talking about here. Now, let's unpack that, what Thomas Merton said and what I just explained. There's wisdom in that Merton quote, but I want to take it a step further. The questions will always be there. That's what my friend said. We can't escape them, but we can learn to be okay with never being sure. That's a real challenge. There's a certain liberation in accepting that the search for certainty can be a distraction from the richness of life. And this brings me to Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. The Seventh Seal is a film often reduced to its religious themes. I just ran into this the other day. There was someone doing a review of The Seventh Seal. I pulled it up to show the wife. Um, and he opened it by saying it's about religion. So The Seventh Seal is a film often reduced to its religious themes. But in my view, it's about something much bigger, meaning. The knight in the film, who plays chess with death, isn't searching for God per se. He's seeking certainty, answers in the face of mortality. And like many of us, he's caught in the endless cycle of questioning. Why are we here? What's the point? What happens when we die? But here's the brilliance of Bergman's film. Searching for certainty, especially about the ultimate questions, is a waste. It's a fool's errand because the kind of certainty we crave simply doesn't exist. And that's where the wisdom of St. John of the Cross comes in. As I mentioned, and this is a quote from his ascent of Mount Carmel, more well known for the obscure night of the soul, often known as the dark night of the soul. And the quote is, "These things are not understood when sought, but only understood when practiced and lived." Sometimes practiced and found. I change it up sometimes. We cannot think our way into certainty. Instead, we live our way into understanding. as Virgil said to Dante when Dante asked, "How do I get out of here?" Virgil answered, "The way out is through." And for meaning, for trauma, it's all the same thing. Now, this connects seamlessly with Nietzsche. Arguably, just about everything I talk about probably will. He's often misinterpreted as being cynical or nihilistic, but Nietzsche's philosophy, especially his concept of amor fati, the love of fate, is about embracing life, including all its uncertainties. He doesn't offer a final answer because he knew there isn't one. Instead, he invites us to love life as it is, with all its chaos and unpredictability. In English, there's a word, sorry, I almost said it in French, vicissitude. Vicissitude. This is the idea that what we would label as our negative experiences throughout life actually end up making up the entirety of our life. There's no separation between the good and the bad. Everything is us. It's Gestalt to Nietzsche, this idea that we are our greatest creation because we're constantly becoming over and over again. So, so the amor fati is about embracing life, including all its uncertainties. He doesn't offer a final answer because he knew there isn't one. Instead, he invites us to love life as it is with all its chaos and unpredictability. My apologies, I reread that. So, where does this leave us? So, here's my take. Wondering, constantly asking questions, is not just part of being human, it's a gift. But we need to recognize that not all questions have satisfying answers, and that's okay. The need to find answers, to have certainty, is deeply ingrained in us. But as both Bergman and Nietzsche seem to suggest, we'll never get there through intellectual inquiry alone. And I added Dante after this. That brings me back to Merton's idea about needing to think we have the answers until we no longer have the questions. For me, this isn't about finding answers, but about outgrowing the need for them. Once you stop desperately seeking certainty and embrace the ambiguity of life, the need for answers dissolves. The questions remain, but you can live in peace alongside them. And that's where true liberation lies. Not in answering every question, but in practicing and living through the uncertainties. St. John of the Cross called this the dark night of the soul. It's a metaphor for the spiritual journey where the familiar falls away and we're left to navigate without the safety of certainty. But in this darkness, we find something even more profound, the freedom to live fully without needing all the answers, authenticity. To bring it back to Bergman's The Seventh Seal one last time, the knight was never going to win against death, his chess game. But his real victory was in the realization that the game itself wasn't the point. It's not about certainty. It's about embracing the journey, the mystery, and the beauty of living with the questions. So my challenge to you, dear listeners, is this. What if you let go of the need for certainty and embraced the mystery of life? What if the questions themselves, rather than their answers, were the real gift? That's something worth pondering and living. So thank you for joining me, embracing the unknown. If you found this episode thought-provoking, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Let's keep the conversation going. And until next time, remember, it's okay to not have all the answers. Thank you.